Check it out.
And also check out Arrested Development. Did you know they went up?
I did know that.
I never heard about it.
Nobody told me.
Oh shit! Well,
But it sucks. You gotta wait a week between each one.
Nobody updated their Facebook or anything. I had no idea.
How am I supposed to know when this goes up? You gotta get Netflix has got to get on Facebook.
They did.
I tell them every week. You gotta get on the Facebook, and they're not on there. I hear their stock soared.
Did it really?
No, it plummeted really bad actually.
What?
Netflix's stock.
Why?
Well, I mean, the stock market is the stock market, whatever. But like the reception, they don't know if it was as big as they thought it would be.
Really?
What the fuck did they expect?
Well, but
goddamn internet.
Hey, but that's exactly right. And even with Arrested Development reviews, it was like, this is not as I thought it would be, whatever. And it's like, well, yeah, you put a comedy on the level of the fucking Lord of the Rings
Brian, explain what you were talking about with the new season.
Oh, the new season, because I just finished watching it this past week. I went into the new season knowing exactly how everybody was going to react to it. And it was everybody wanting all the things that they thought were the greatest thing about that show.
Yeah.
That they remembered from that show that they hadn't really sat down and watched in a while, without considering the fact that like a show changes from season to season, but you don't notice it because it changes in such a short amount of time. It's been like what, 6 or 7 years since the show ended. Everybody's going to want it to be what they remembered of it 7 years ago, and it will never ever ever be that, because all you remember is, remember when Tobias said this and Joe did that. Well, do you remember all the like story in between that wasn't necessarily the height of comedy that you remember? I when I finished watching Arrested Development, I went, that was just as good, if not the next step in what that show would have been, but everybody's going to want it to be 30 steps ahead of and above that, and it's not going to be that. It's the same thing that happened with The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings, Lord of the Rings, like callbacks. People wanted The Hobbit to be just like Lord of the Rings up here. First of all, the story isn't that same sort of grand scheme, but they wanted it to be like, oh man, it's going to be just like Lord of the Rings. No, it's not. It's a totally different story. Just like Arrested Development 4, I think Season 4 sets out that it's going to be totally different. It exists entirely on its own and tells you as much as you need to know from the previous show. And if you just watch that, it's set up I think it's set up just like the show was, where they had all these callbacks that you didn't know were callbacks until you pay attention and go back and watch it again. I think it's just as good. I think everybody seemed believable. And I think people who are complaining about it are people who got what they wanted, but wanted even more than they could have ever.
Then was feasible, really.
I have only seen the first 4 episodes.
It gets better as it goes along.
Okay, but I'm enjoying it. And I was telling Rocco, like, I don't expect it to be the funniest thing ever. I just like these characters. I want to see what they've been up to.
Yeah. And
that's all I've been getting. But, like, they're doing things like in this newest episode, the one I saw, it was like Michael and like Ron Howard's in it or whatever. And it's way different than what it was in the first season, but I really was enjoying it. But I feel like a lot of it is like jokes that were like made for me, if that even makes sense. Like when this little like formatting things, how they do it. Like I was telling Rocco, like they have flashbacks and it's like George Sr. and Lucille Bluth like in the past, and it's filmed in full screen. Like that to me is like, that's funny to me because I dealt with this.
That might not
shit
make
before.
my parents laugh.
Or when they show a clip that remind you what happened in the previous season. There's a watermark on it saying showstealer.exe or whatever.
Whatever, yeah.
And it's like, that's funny to me because I've had that problem before, like just doing what I do. So like, there's all these little jokes that I'm really enjoying, but I don't know if the average person is gonna like. But I really have been liking it.
Yeah. Well, somebody in here in the chat says it focuses on the single characters. Well, that's because at the end of the show and the family like fell apart. So if you get tossed back into the series and it's oh yeah, let's forget like nothing ever happened, then everybody's complaining like, well, now they're acting like the end of the series didn't matter.
Yeah. Can't win either way.
And that's the thing.
That's the internet.
And that's exactly it. Like I'm not going to sit here and like really complain about the internet's response to it because it'd be exactly what the internet's doing.
Yeah.
But like they took a show and instead of just keeping it where it was, they did something different with it. They changed the characters, they played on your expectations and changed things, and I think they took the show and put it somewhere else. I'm not saying it's the greatest thing ever. I'm not saying that there aren't better moments from the original run of the series. I'm saying that if you want more Arrested Development and you want the same exact and you want that same sort of feel and the same sort of like production quality, like you get tossed right back into that same world.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like it's any different than it was.
The only thing that's different is fucking Portrait de Rossi's face.
Dude, what happened?
What happened?
Really?
Have you seen?
Oh man, she did not age all right.
No, I'm sure aged fine, and then she went to the fucking doctor and got it all fucked up because she looks like a skeleton of herself. It was weird.
I didn't recognize her when I saw
didn't. Yeah, I was like, the voice that was coming out was her.
Yeah.
And that was it. I was like, who the fuck is this? Is weird.
Portia, do your thing, girl.
She was hot.
Fierceness. You got it, baby. You be a white Beyonce, girl. Be bootylicious. You got the jelly, baby. Go, girl. I didn't want to. If she's watching, I didn't want her to feel like we all hate her.
Oh, I don't hate her.
Still love for
You
her.
think she's watching with Ellen right now?
Hey,
You're
Ellen.
probably both watching
Ellen,
right
if you're watching, you got the jelly, because you got Portia, and she got the jelly. She eat jelly. She gelling. That's all. Just want to even keeping the scales even.
You like takes care of
You know what that reminded me of? This sounds. I know it's like, why are you talking about this right now? But it's not. I'm not even. What I'm about to say is not saying that Star Wars Episode 3 is a good movie. I'm not even saying that.
Yeah.
But I'm about
But
to.
no, I'm not at all. That's what I just said. I'm not. There is a scene, the scene when Darth Vader is made, and he comes off the table and I'm not even talking about when he yells no. I'm not even talking about that. But when he stumbles off the table, I remember so many people telling me, "That's so gay. Like he like stumbles, so gay. Why isn't he like badass? Because he just got a new body."
Yeah, I know.
And I just thought, well, what's the alternative?
Yeah. And then he flies away.
Then everyone complains, "What the fuck? You just got a new body and he's acting like fuck." You know what I mean? It's one of those situations where it's like, no matter what they do. When you were talking about them splitting up the family or putting them together, there was no way you could win there. You know. Anyway, it just reminded me of that.
And I think the only thing that was weird is that in the first episode, I mean, again, I've only seen the first couple. In the first episode, Michael isn't the straight man anymore. In that episode, which was weird. George Michael is more of the straight man in that episode.
You know what's really funny? If you go back and watch Arrested Development, like now, you like the entire time I watched the first 3 seasons, I was feeling like, dude, everybody in this family is so fucked. All of them are pieces of shit.
Mm-hmm.
They all take. They don't live up to their word. They're all like flaky and shitty people. Like, and Michael and George Michael are the only two people in this family who do anything right.
Right.
And you go back and you watch that show, and he, like, but not so much, I think George Michael, out of anybody in the show, is the only person who is the most honest and consistent throughout the entire first run, and I think in this, in the new series. Michael is just as bad as the rest of them. They just made it, I felt like they constructed it really well to where you just sided with him all the time.
Oh yeah, because I mean he was going after Job's girlfriend and doing all this stuff before.
And he was like, well, you know what? I want to get a car because the stair car is too flashy, or the stair car is too annoying.
True.
But I don't want to get something too flashy. And he finds a fucking just normal car, and then what does he leave the lot with?
Yeah.
A fucking Corvette.
Yeah.
Like it's just whatever suited his needs. He's just like the rest of them, and I feel like that was something that was hidden to me.
Maybe
when I watched it the first time. I don't know if other people felt the same way about it, but it's just a bunch of. It's kind of like the same reason why I like It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. It's just a bunch of people who are really shitty.
They're bad people.
Being very shitty to each other and continuing to just.
They have no remorse.
And it doesn't matter if it helps the whole. If they can serve themselves and be on top of everyone, that's all they care about.
Yeah.
Yeah. Welcome to the humor of our podcast.
Yeah. Basically.
Yeah.
Well, on that note, on the subject of being funnier than anybody else, let's
Camera over to this.
Let's
bench.
take a Skype call. What do you say? Our name on Skype is Mega64 Podcast.